She would love for me to say,
I was in the bathroom, I'm sorry. That's an appropriate start to the piece, isn't it?
and weirdly, we did not plan that. We did not plan that.
Got a little adrenaline rush to start off. Yeah, it's great. Love it.
Finish it. You're right. Paul had a handful of nuts and threw them in his... a handful of peanuts and threw them in his mouth. And then we heard the applause and said, "We're on!" And we came in. So if anything, that's an example of what we're saying.
Well, exactly what we're doing. Living it, babes. We're
living it. Hello, everyone. What a wonderful day out there it is in this beautiful country. It's just to acknowledge the beauty of where we are, not just what we owe to those who've gone before us, but also our natural inheritance. To be in this country and to be on country and to be on water and to feel the privilege of that is just so amazing. And just, the sun shining. I come from Brisbane where it always shines. So it's good to come and realise that a damp place like Sydney can be sunny. So lovely.
It's
well done
a miracle.
to you. Well done. I won't take any responsibility for that. Now, to my right, in anything but politics, we have two amazing artists, and I'm going to introduce them as playwrights in this Festival of Playwrights. Virginia Gay, who people may know as a performer and a wonderful performer, but also the writer of Cyrano and the Boom Cack Panto. And we'll talk a little bit about how your performance work often kind of has enhanced that and what lessons you've learnt from all those kind of things. And to my far right...
Look out. Look out, love.
Not Pauline Hanson's cousin at all, but Paul Capsis, who was a co-writer, well, let's call it a writer, but also worked with Hilary Bell on Angela's Kitchen.
Yeah, and Julian Merrick.
So
we all collaborated to write.
Yeah, gorgeous things. And as playwrights, this notion of why you're here, not as actors.
Ugh. Oh. Bloody hell.
Them, no, thank you.
That lot.
And can I say that Virginia's flown in from the UK just yesterday?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, and I'm about to start rehearsal for Calamity Jane again, like in a week's time. But actors...
And just to say, on your program, Mark Kilmurray was going to be the chair of this, and something went wrong. And so, hence, I've stepped into this chairing role as of, 2 days ago or 3 days ago or something like that, as you do. Now, everyone will know, in the live arts, things occur. But we'll all have stories. We'll all have stories of... I remember going on stage in costume because an actor got sick, carrying a script, and the audience loving it.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah.
But that sense of saying, we do have, the show must go on kind of mentality. Now, I'm not always thinking that that's a good thing. Sometimes we do have to put resilience aside and say, actually, some things go wrong and they should be addressed and looked at. And even though we might laugh and talk about the highlights today of how we have shown resilience, I think it's also worth saying sometimes things go wrong and they're bad. So through all the laughter and the stories of how we lift ourselves up, let's not lose that fact that if things go wrong, sometimes you need to fix them. Yeah? We just don't have to accept it. And that, yes, they make great, funny anecdotes, but we cannot accept things that are ultimately dangerous in our profession. We have to be safe so that we can take risk in that way. So could you feel the energy just go out?
No.
Oh my God.
No, they were dealing with how serious and important that was. That wasn't the energy leaving.
Was
that
it?
was them going, yeah, no, good point, Wesley.
Yeah, we made a good entrance and then it all just kind of went...
I read audiences for a living, don't you worry.
But I remember that moment during the Sydney Olympics, and many people in the room are too young to remember it, but when there's lovely, bloody...
Yes.
What's her name? Kathy Freeman.
Yes.
There with the bloody thing like this going, I'm freezing. Can this thing just work? And I remember talking to people, and apparently it was only 38 seconds.
that's
but it was enough on international television to kind of go,
Also, when you say only 38 seconds to me, I'm like, that's 38 seconds of something that isn't happening. Ooh, I'd be doing a tight 5 at that point. I'd just be doing material. I'd be like, well, what do we think about 5?
well, this says something about, maybe this is saying something about your response to these kind of moments. You know, when you look at the kind of psychology, we talk about fight, flight. We also talk about freeze. And another thing I looked researching this is fawn,
I know.
where you kind of play up to fawn, where you fawn. I think it's because it's an F word. The idea that you play up to the audience and you kind of get them on side a lot of the time.
I don't know about that one.
I'm not sure how it relates to performance, but fawn particularly, when you're talking about encountering a predator or something that might give you a fear response. Fawn is one way. Instead of fight, you can attack the predator, you can run from the predator, you can freeze so that you're not seen, and then you can fawn. You can be like, hey, predator, you and me, we should form an alliance. I'll get them from around the back. It's like,
I like that.
there are systems. And apparently your body does lots of them automatically because it's just like, it needs to survive.
Wow.
There you
I
go.
think I have experienced it.
We're going to start off with a couple of anecdotes.
I'm getting flashes now of trauma.
I've heard lots of different stories and everyone out there will have their stories to share as well. Just to say, we've got the QR code up there. If you have questions that you'd like to pose to the panel, we'll have 10 or so minutes at the end. We were talking about whether we should have questions because everyone will have anecdotes. You know, and they'll be typing out these long anecdotes. But if there are questions, I think that's going to be the most useful opportunity here. And if you do want to share your anecdotes, come on out and have a drink afterwards and regale them all the stories. I'm Wesley Enoch, by the way. I'm your host.
Yay!
All right.
Woo, woo, woo.
Virginia, tell us a story.
Tell
What is one of those moments where it just went wrong?
Yeah, I can tell you a pretty big story about that. When I got the email for this, when things go wrong, I was like, how dare you? Why have you come to me for this? I beg your pardon.
Same thought.
And somebody put in the email, you know, for example, Cyrano, and I went, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, of course. It's kind of extraordinary that in the narrative of what has happened with Cyrano now, that doesn't feel like a moment that goes wrong. It is a part of the journey that got Cyrano to where it is. So Cyrano was in rehearsal at the MTC in 2020, and it survived, or is it in 2021? I'm so sorry if I can't do this correctly. All of that time is a blur, we all agree, right? Yeah. In the first year of all of the lockdowns. And we had 2 lockdowns mid-rehearsal, but we were like, Sarah Goods was like, we can do this, we can open up. We were performing in previews to 90 people spaced, socially distanced in the huge Sumner Theatre, which is quite a way to test a new comedy.
Yes.
Anyway, but we were doing this, and Sarah was like, listen, there's talk that there's going to be a lockdown that will come in at midnight on the night of our opening night, but I think we should still do it. We should go anywhere. And I was like, absolutely, Sarah Goods, we will do this. Yes, brilliant. I was like, come on, team, we've got this. And we were standing on stage doing the final tweaks of tech. And one person on stage, an actor, had their phone with them and looked down and went absolutely white in a way that you cannot script. Like, if I get a description like that in a piece of stage direction, I'm like, oh, well, but how? And I saw it happen, and I was like, oh, it is good. It is good when you can do it. And I went, what? And he went, and he just showed us the thing that said that the lockdown would start at 8 p.m. So we wouldn't open. The show then went into permanent hiatus, basically. And we all went into our little 1-bedroom flats, company accommodation, and we were running the lines on Zoom every day. And it was getting sadder and sadder. And then eventually, at the end of a month of doing this, MTC said, send the interstate people home, like, go back to the people that you love. We have to let this one go. And we're like, okay. Just for a little bit of background, on that time, I called my partner, who was living up in Sydney, and I went, oh, this has been awful, but I'm packing the car, I'll be back with you in 24 hours. And they went, about that. And I went, now? Now? You break up with me now? Now? Oh my God!
Well, never waste a good crisis, I'd say.
Exactly. Never waste a little bit of drama escalation. And I only add to this because a week later, I was still in Melbourne, and Virginia Trioli called me and said, you have to come on Q&A. And I said, I don't want to come on Q&A. I don't like politics. Everybody shouts at each other. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And she said, you have to do it because you're the only person who can talk about what's happening to the live arts at the moment. People will understand. People will listen. And I went, oh, fuck, okay, fine. And I got really, really frightened. And then 2 days before the interview, I got another call from her producer saying, can you just send us the script of the monologue? And I went, the what? Of the what? And she went, just send us the script of the monologue that you're doing at the end of the show. And I went, exactly like that. I went, you mean the one that Maine did, and it became like a bellwether for actually what's going on in the arts at the moment, and it sort of carried a whole community for a while? And they went, yeah, that one. And I went, give me 10 seconds. And I went and looked through the script, and I was like, can't do the no speech because that is filled with self-hate. There are 2 monologues. I was like, I could shove them together. They're both filled with self-hate. And so then I finally said, all right, I will do the final scene, and I will do it as a monologue, and I will do it down the lens, and I will say to the people at the other end of the camera, you are my scene partner, and I will do this with you. And it's a monologue about hope and what we will do when this terrible time is over. And as a result of that, international producers saw that. It got a lot of international cred, that monologue, in the middle of the pandemic. International producers saw that. They flew to Australia to see the show. They said, we cannot do this production, it's too expensive, but we love you, we love the script. Will you come with us to England? We will make a whole new show around you. I was like, yes, incredible. Do you see why it was a terrible thing that happened? But now it is simply a part of the narrative of of Cyrano's life. And I, in a deeply strange way, I'm very grateful for it.
That's a very perverse attitude to have.
I know, isn't it? You got it.
Paul, I mean, goodness gracious.
Well, Virginia's just come from overseas. I've come from Woy today. So well, 2 trains, 2 buses, trauma.
Trauma.
So let's not even talk about theatre. But oh, you want story?
Well, perhaps.
Well, in 42 years, I had quite a few. Well, at first I thought I couldn't think of any. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind, bizarrely, was the night I was playing Quentin Crisp, and every night I had to fry an egg. But however, this one night I forgot to turn on the stove. So I cracked the egg, and I'm doing, Quentin, I'm doing a long monologue. It was all one big monologue. And I'm like, this egg isn't working. But I had to eat it. I mean, even when I fried it, the audience were like disgusted with the smell and me sitting there at, at the end of my bed eating this fried egg. But then I was like doing this weird, I know. And it was pretty, and the audience were appalled. However, so I just sort of ate bits or on the spoon.
You ate the raw egg?
I had to sort of, desperate times. I should have had a can of baked beans ready in case this sort of thing happened. Because he was big on baked beans.
Was he, darling?
He was,
so
darling.
Great.
She did her research.
I also think that's the Paul quote from today. Always have a can of baked beans ready.
Yes.
Yeah, but I just remember thinking, this is so bad. I do not, I'm trying to be Quentin and stay Quentin, and I'm starving, and I've got to eat this thing, and it's not cooked, it's hideous, and it was bad.
But at what point does Paul kick in and say, Quentin, just wait a little bit, I've got to do something different here?
Is that when you say fawning? Is that when I should have been fawning?
To the audience?
Yeah, help. Anyone got anything? But I mean, it was very first performance, first preview. I started the play and I went blank. And as Quentin, I said, must call my agent because he'll know what I have to say next. Something weird like that. So those kind of the things of, my God, what's happening?
That's a general thing, though, isn't it? Where you walk on stage and you go, I do not know what I'm about to say, and you hope that it comes to you.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I
they're
love,
the most terrifying.
this is a perverse director thing.
Yeah.
I love watching an actor suffer through that moment where they're going, because they're so alive.
Yeah.
Watching the kind of mechanics of that is beautiful to watch.
I have a
It's
Macedonian
transparent.
friend in Melbourne. She only goes to previews in the hope. And she was there that night in Melbourne at that. She said, my favourite thing the whole show was when you went blank. She's, when you
But
just.
what is it about,
So-
especially the live experience?
That's
what is it that
wild.
we
Yeah,
find?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you do the pre-show speech at the preview, saying, "Look, it's previews. That's why you bought a cheaper ticket. We're here. We might have to stop. Thank you very much." And the audience are perversely willing it to happen.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That,
They are.
Paul,
That's, I think there's something really, that is what we were talking about this before. We were talking about AI and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And you said rightly, there is live performance will never be replaced by ChatGPT. And I was like, oh, that's so calming just to hear that. And I
Yeah.
think an audience goes, it's not necessarily for a mistake, but they want a flash of something true.
Yeah.
Something like that's actually what you're waiting to see, and you're so hungry for just something true. Whether it's the way that somebody looks at somebody else in a love scene, whether it's the way that a beautiful detail of somebody dropping a napkin and picking it up, or whatever it is. But that's the truest that you can get. Like that's the most transparent and the most vulnerable. And absolutely, I think people should pay more to see it. I've
There
said
you go.
it.
But then
I've
on
said
the
it.
other hand, as a performer, when I'm in the audience, and I've seen a few things, and I won't say what they were, but where the actor did have issues with their lines, and as
You feel for
a
them.
performer,
Yeah.
I'm like going, oh my god, this is dreadful, but the support from the audience, that the audience were carrying the person to
they're gorgeous.
continue.
Magical.
But a part of me also gets quite cranky because I start going, well, how much support did these performers have? What was the process? What was
Yes.
the rehearsal? Why are they, it's all those sorts of things come up.
Well, that terrible
as a
moment
performer
where
in the audience.
a piece of set potentially falls, and you start to go, "Oh, the audience is going, oh," and you go, "That's really terrible.
Yeah.
That's really bad."
Dangerous.
I remember
Yes.
being in the opening night audience of Michael Gow's Toy Symphony. Beautiful piece.
Wonderful.
And this poor woman has some form of panic attack in the third row. And the actors couldn't see it, but they could hear stuff that was going on. And the moment then that Neil Armfield says, "Oh, we might just have to stop there,"
Yeah.
Oh.
and the actors go, "Okay," and they leave the stage.
Yeah.
That feeling in the audience when the actors come back in,
Yeah.
how on side they were was amazing.
That's a really good point. Yeah, the groundswell, the feeling of the wave of the love is very beautiful because it's a very energetic exchange. Live performance is a very energetic exchange. If you don't want to be here, we can tell, and we're throwing energy out into nothingness. But if you're I often think about an audience as like a tight drum. It's like you tap on it and you resonate back. What we tap on, you resonate back, and it feels, and it's about the tension of that drum. And when you come back from a thing like that, people are like, "We are ready to beat. What do you need? Oh, stretch us tighter." Yes. That's the other pull quote from today. You're welcome.
What goes through your bodies?
Yeah.
Like Paul, you said before, the idea that your mind's engaged as a performer when you're watching this occur. What goes through your bodies when that's happening for you? When you're having to go, "I now need to eat a raw egg."
Well, I've had two performances, one at Belvoir and one in Melbourne, I think, and where somebody has had a heart attack
Yeah.
or fainted. And it was the two times it happened was at the beginning of a solo monologue that I had to do.
For fuck's sake.
And I can hear,
Oh, that's so tough.
right? And I can hear screaming, and I'm like, you're going, it's such a strange thing. And then the stage manager says, we have to stop. But in those instances, the audience had to leave.
Yes.
And one of them
That's
was all about my mother at Melbourne Theatre Company. And the wife thought the husband had a heart attack, but everyone had to leave. And then we were at the end of the play.
Oh, that's awful.
And that was not a feeling of the audience were with us. It was more like, why are we doing what? It
Yes.
was really difficult
Yeah.
to re-engage, I thought, in that particular instance. I think, you know, what you said absolutely about audience and energy and, you know, whether an audience is hostile or it's weird. Like when I was doing the Louis Naura, when we did the whole day, the 3 plays, the audience were on board from the very first play to the last play. And the reactions and the responses and the experience of doing it was so much more rewarding as opposed to the single shows, where the audience were more. And you know, it's Griffin, so you know before they knocked it down, and so everyone's really close, and you can feel it, you know.
Yes.
And it's weird for me because I pull away, or I find something else to carry me through it because it's very difficult when you feel an audience
Oh, yeah.
en masse
Yeah.
when they turn.
That's tough. Right at the end is very tough. It's almost like come back and see another show because you've lost all your momentum then. To get
And we
to the
did
final
too
bit.
as performers.
Yeah,
we all had
it's exactly
all
that.
lost
Yes.
our thing.
Jane will remember this. Jane Harrison's in the house somewhere. I remember at year was 2000. It was stolen at Belvoir Street, and during that season there were, I think I counted 4 different times an ambulance was called during the season. And remember talking to people and saying, well, telling this story is breaking their hearts.
Oh, wow.
And the effect that telling that story in that political environment, people remember, you know, there was the marches across bridges, there was the Sorry in the Sky, and that the play had kind of brought a whole lot of stuff up, that there is a physical response to the stories we tell as well.
Wow.
That's another thing.
And what do you do to an audience who's gone through a moment of that kind of trauma? How do you at the end, and I think we got to the habit of, at the end would say, and we've talked to the family and they're okay, they're at a hospital now, so you could end that journey for them as well.
Great.
Like a responsibility for that.
Yeah,
Which is-
great.
Yeah, we do find out. I mean, we did find out that the man hadn't had a heart attack. He fainted or something.
Yeah.
And he was okay. You know, there was a night I was seeing the play at Sydney Theatre Company, the Jekyll and Hyde. It was the opening night. And at one point, in the row I
That's
was
right.
sitting, someone looked like blood was pouring out of their mouth. And someone in the audience went, "Stop the show!" And we're like, what the hell? And it turned out it was red wine, long story short.
Yeah.
And it was a long night in the theatre. Let me tell you, without saying too much. Hey, recently I was at 45 downstairs and it was a production of Miss Julie.
Oh, yes.
And
It's a lovely little
one
comedy.
of the actors got a little excited and smashed a glass and she cut her hand. But the thing was, they stopped the show. We were sitting there was no interval, and they vacuumed the stage for 25 minutes.
Well, safety first, Paul.
Safety
true.
first, because then I was like, because you realise they all had their shoes off for
Yeah.
the right.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
We talked earlier about there's a level of improvisation in this as well. And the idea that when something goes wrong, it's often something outside of your control.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you step into that? And improvising is often the way where
yeah.
you're trying to either cover for somebody else or cover because the sound cue hasn't happened or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you have stories about improvisation?
Yes,
Oh,
honey,
Virginia.
yes.
Oh, invitation set.
Great. I have an incredible story about, because I was thinking, as you said, I was trying to link this to playwriting, and I was like, oh, what have some of the extraordinary mishaps taught me about the plays that I've written and the process of playwriting? And there was this one show in England, so Cyrano got picked up, taken to England. We did it at Edinburgh, and then it got a London season out of Edinburgh. And in the London season, it was very cold and very dark over Christmas. And one of our beautiful cast had a panic attack, and it happens. It absolutely happens. And because of the chain of command not being directly in place, the show started without her in beginners, and that is a terrifying mistake, and it should never have happened. This is one of those ones where you're like, that should never have happened. But it was winter, and the space was full. And as the show began, I began the show from the aisles, basically. We had a pre-show that the 3 named characters did, and then we sat in the aisles and watched the beginning of the show. And I remember going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, she hasn't taken her place. I wonder if she's learnt that moving on that line means that it's less funny. Ah, she's not on. oh, wow, she's not on. Okay, amazing. And we got to the cue point for her to say her first line. And from the audience, I just started to speak the lines. And I was amazed by how in they were, because I have never played that role, but obviously had written it and heard it several times, but I'd never spoken the lines. And I was like, actually, this is incredible, because this character is the voice for the audience. I'd sort of known that conceptually, but until actually I was in the audience going, well, why? Why is it a woman? Oh, God, do we have to do it like that? Like, actually, I was like, oh, that's exactly what everybody is thinking, and it's from the point of view of the audience, and it's coming from the audience. I was like, actually, breakthrough. Maybe that's how it should always start. With somebody like properly in the crowd going, oh, this feels a bit weird to do it like that. Does anybody know anything about the plot? Like, basically, those are all of the questions that the character asked, and I was like, oh, that's perfect, actually.
The whole idea of the happy accident, that you'd hope that happens in rehearsal rather than performance, but things happen.
See, I'm a big believer in things happening in front of an audience. I'm a huge believer in that. And
are
that's
you an actor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a director.
It's because you can't control us when we're in front of an audience. It's our stage now, Wesley.
That's right, baby.
Oh, Paul. This relationship with directors, you kind of want to make sure that they've done their job to make sure it's safe for you, but sometimes things occur all the time, and that relationship with a director, there's one very famous story of a particular director stopping opening night because the sound wasn't working well enough, and kind of going, no, stop. Yeah,
Well,
the sound wasn't working.
That reminds me of the opening in Melbourne at the Athenaeum of Cabaret, and then our opening night, and Chelsea Gibb had we had one of these, and as the MC, I was there, being creepy on the side, and her mic wasn't. She was about to do, maybe this time, and her mic didn't work. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to help. I got to do something. I'm sitting here. What am I doing? So I went up to her. Weirdly, I was trying to give her my mic to sing.
Yes.
Like I was trying to do like a shadow. But she panicked and she sort of started scratching and grabbing at the mic. And I was like, babe, it's all wide. I've got 7 layers, love. I can't be, And then they took her off. And then Gail Edwards, the director, stomped from the back of the Athenaeum and went, Paul, tell a joke. And I blank. I'm like, I was trying to be the character. I was trying to remember to be the character.
Yes.
And I was doing all like Berlin creepy stuff, And I don't know, but I felt like I was there forever and ever. And then there's Gail like right there going, tell him another joke. Jesus. But a lot of those kinds of you want to try and keep it going, try and make it work, this mistake or this thing that happens.
Why is it that we are absolutely dedicated to the show must go on? What is that about?
I reckon it's twofold. I reckon it's partly that being a live performer is an act of service to an audience. You have come here, you have paid your money. This is the engagement that we're in. We will deliver you something that hopefully will transform you and take you somewhere else, transform you and transport you. I think the second part of it is that, as with the story that I just told, I was like, there's extraordinary stuff comes in the crucible of the moment of like, no, keep going. And you would know that as a director in the scene, like when we're working scenes, the feeling of like if an actor tries something and then comes out of it to comment on it, and you invariably directors will go, stay in it, like keep on going, see where it gets you. And so that is, I think, and I think with the added pressure of the eyes on, instead of making you freeze, I invariably find I'm like, oh, brilliant, there it is, ha! Like, shit, I didn't know that was there. Yeah. Incredible. Did you love it? Great, let's move on.
Well, and maybe by extension, there's so much that could crush you in a show.
Yeah.
you know,
That's true.
psychological, emotional. You're asked to do so much.
You're
That's
reminding
true.
me of an experience at Belvoir Street. We did a production of The Wizard of Oz, and it was The Wizard of
Yes.
Oz, but not The Wizard of Oz. And I was playing the lion, and I remember that I was having an issue at Belvoir with the cold. It was very cold, and my legs were pain. I had this pain in my legs. I kept getting these pains in my calves, and I was trying to warm up. I was trying to get warm, and in one of the scenes with Dorothy, Emily Millage, I had this sharp turn I had to do, like to threaten her as the lion, but my calf muscle snapped. And it snapped with me going up stage, and so I felt like the audience saw my calf, because I was wearing a pink leather, what do you call it, a Scottish thing, a kilt. Yeah, which tells you a lot about the show. But I remember I collapsed because it was incredibly painful. And Emily's there doing Dorothy, and she's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, love." She's dropped her box. No, she was like, "What, you know, oh, it's all falling apart. Like, what do you do? How do you go on?" And like, "What are you doing? Like, what the hell's going on? Are you making offers now all of a sudden?" That was the look she gave me.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, it was like,
Now.
and I'm going, and I
Are
continued.
you in pain though, obviously, or?
I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk. So I did the rest of the show crawling.
Paul!
It was that kind of show. Because, yeah, I mean, I should have stopped, but I am really the show must go on person.
Yeah.
I really am. It's a sickness.
Did you discover anything brilliant in your crawling?
Well, yeah, I felt like he was more wounded. The lion was...
Do you see?
He was a wounded lion. Because also I had sticky tape. So I had all this tape to make out that this lion had been through a lot of fights, and therefore he was fearful of everything. So, and I did crawl for the rest of the show, and they were like, "What are we going to do?" And I went, "No, we'll keep going, because this is the show, this is the kind of show it is, and this is how we've made the show, crawling." All our improvisations, I'll never forget them. And anyway, so the director came in the next night, and she said, "What are we doing?" Because I had a tap dance I had to do with, I know, which... You know, with Melita Juricic, I had to do this tap dance. And so the director comes the next day, and I'd been to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, you have to stop." And I said, "I'm not stopping." He said, "You're crazy. You have to stop." He said, "Because if you don't, this is going to prolong..."
A permanent injury, perhaps.
So
yeah.
it did prolong, and I did keep going, and the director said, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to do the show. I'm just going to crawl. I'm going to hold a walking stick. I'm at crutches." So I did. It became then, people thought it was part of the show. Audiences hated that production. I mean, I've never done a show, Belvoir. It was the last time I worked at Belvoir, 2015. So audiences were like this every night at the applaud. Like, even with Eileen Kramer, who was then 100, playing a 100-year-old Dorothy in a wheelchair. We had a dog.
A real
A
dog?
real
A
dog.
dog.
Real dog?
We had a Toto, and we had to open the show with a Toto. So this black curtain opens, and there's Toto in a glass box, which becomes Dorothy's house.
Oh, yes.
This dog, in rehearsal, was fabulous, and then when we started, stopped acting. And it was just... And I had a really good connection with the dog. So when everyone was doing scenes, I was on the floor with the dog. And so they got me to get a steak and meat and behind the curtain do this, just to make him, just even if he did, or nothing. So it became the thing that dog did every night. Wouldn't act. Refused.
They do say what children and
animals.
Yeah. We're laughing a lot, Paul, but you know, goodness gracious. There's something too about. Okay, I'm gonna go all Gen X on this. Is this a generational thing?
Yes.
Is there a generational
Absolutely.
thing going on here,
Yeah,
where
sure.
younger people, millennials, and are much smarter than we are, and would go, no, that's actually.
I like the way you say smarter. That's nice.
Well, I'm trying not to kind of be cancelled.
I'll cancel myself, babe.
But this is
No.
this is the year for me being cancelled, so I might as well just get it all on. but this idea of going, where did we learn this from?
That's how we found the industry.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Well, and in fact, where it would often treat us badly
oh, yeah.
and expect us to go through it.
Absolutely.
And go, no, the show must go on because the producer hasn't paid for this or this or this, but you're going to choreograph your own fight sequences.
Intimacy coordinator.
Intimacy-
Never heard of her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, why did I perform that? Why did I keep doing it?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean? It was just that why? Because
We were taught it.
we were taught it.
That's the way
Yeah.
we were
And it
taught.
is a different generational thing, absolutely.
yeah, and I'm not saying that there's right or wrong, but I am saying, do you run the risk of a permanent injury
Yeah.
in these kind of environments?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of singers who get the cortisone injections, like into their.
Yeah.
Into their cords.
I've
Yeah.
had it. I had it once
Yeah.
because I had to do a vocal show in Hobart, and I arrived, and the plane trip. I don't know something about and anyway, I lost my voice, had no voice, and I went to this doctor, and he gave me these. He gave me steroids,
Yeah.
and I sung higher and faster than I've ever sung in my life. I wanted to keep taking them, and the doctor said, "No, you only take a couple for the show, and that's you have to throw them away."
I've got a couple backstage. I'll lend you some. Don't you worry. Never without them. Yeah.
There's a sense too of an immense trust you must have on stage with those who share the stage with you, the backstage crew. Like everything has to work well together. It doesn't always work that well together at times. Things kind of, something happens, something gets jammed. Kathy Freeman's waiting for something to occur. She thinks it will occur, it won't. Have you had those kind of, yes, 30, have you had those kind of moments for yourself, Virginia?
Yeah.
Where you're waiting, not just for an actor, but something like
Oh yeah.
stage managers are lovely. Thank you for the light. Thank you for the everything. But there's something about things are not
Yeah.
just about the performers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like Calamity Jane was filled with crazy little pieces, crazy little moments that reminded you that you were watching a show, and pieces of audience interaction that reminded you that you are in this show with us. And anytime anybody involves audience interaction, you just I am grateful for my 20 years experience as an improviser and working in cabaret, because that's got a very immediate audience connection, and it means that when things go off the rails audience-wise or in a show, it's like I can scan an audience and be like, you're useful to me, you're too enthusiastic, which is as bad as not enthusiastic enough. You know what I mean? Sorry, not to you, literally not to you, obviously.
It's so true.
But like when you're picking someone to join the crew, the other person who we had to do this was Sheridan Harbridge, who has a similar experience with cabaret and who has got a brain for like finding that balance. What you want when somebody joins you on stage is somebody who's a bit like, oh, sorry, yes, hello, not, oh my God, it's my time. And we certainly had a couple of those as we picked Joe's. But the sense of like how you... Calamity was filled with calamities.
Yeah.
That's literally, it was just filled with mistakes and filled with, we don't have enough cast to do this, and oh shit, then we'll have to pull a person up from the audience. We don't have, oh God. And so we used to talk about it when we were making it. I reckon we made about 60% of that show in the rehearsal room, and the rest we discovered through doing the show.
Okay.
And then things would happen one night, and then I would get off stage and I would rush to my director, and I'd be like, it was good, wasn't it? It was good. And he'd be like, yes, it was good, but we can't be certain that it will happen every night. And I'd be like, I know, but we could reverse engineer it. And we could, if I say this and then somebody does this, then we could have it happen every night and it would be incredible. So the sense of like actually going, the mayhem was sort of used. It was used and it was wrangled, and then it became a part of the fabric of the whole. There's things about people missing entrances and being too late for things. All of that happened either in rehearsal or on stage, and we developed this phrase, it's not a mistake, it's a choice. It's not a mistake, it's a choice. And that became the sort of vibe of Calam. And so if you could justify that it was a choice and not a mistake, even if it was clearly a mistake, it's not a mistake, it's a choice. Oh, really? Why? Yep, because she needs to learn this lesson. Actually, right now she does. Really, it has worked wonderfully well in the history of the piece.
Paul, have you ever had that kind of interaction with audience where it has got an overly enthusiastic audience member or someone who's not just the dog, but volunteers who won't participate?
Well, there's so many, but there was one story at Griffin. I was doing Angela's Kitchen, and I had this scene where I'm playing my whole family, and there was a woman I guess she was Maltese,
Yes.
and she was laughing so hard and so loud and she also had the audience laughing as well, because the more she laughed, the more they laughed, but then she started choking. And we're all laughing, and then she's choking, and then I'm like, okay, I have to stop.
Yes.
I have to say, are you okay? Because, this is serious. Do you need to go out? What's happening here, And again, with Angela's Kitchen, my very last show in Brisbane, I was doing a monologue, and I'm sitting there, and I can see a guy get up, and he's very drunk, and he's sort of finding his way through the dark. And it's weird because I was doing my text, but I'm watching this guy and I'm looking for the usher and I'm like, are they going to help him out? And they don't. He goes out and then he comes back and then he falls upside down on his head with his legs sticking up. The thing was, the bang was so loud, a woman screamed in the audience and the lights did not come up. And I went, we're stopping. What is going on here? The lights went up and the man is like, holding his head.
Oh, goodness.
And then I had a friend, Nora, in the audience, Maltese, and she's asking me in Maltese, what should we do? And I said, I think he has to go to the hospital. And she said, well, I carry him out. I said, yeah, I think you better. I said, no, you have to go. You have to go to the hospital because, you can't be sitting there. Anyway, they took him out and the lights, and I just continued. And then after the show, I went, where are the ushers? Where are they? I need to talk to them. Because they didn't help that man. I was an usher once.
I'm sure you were.
Also,
Show must go on.
also,
Well,
all the best stars,
Right.
ushers, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were so strict with us, my God.
Oh, yeah.
I guess there's kind of conversation around this belief in this contract between those who prepare the show and those who deliver the show and those who receive the show. How that all works together is really important.
But I had a woman throw water on Michael Cormick and I at the State Theatre.
What? How?
In Le Cage aux Folles.
What?
So
Was she a homophobe?
I don't know what she was.
I'm ready to kill.
Well, I was going to kill. Lucky for her, they carried her out. But the thing was, I'm Maltese Greek, for God's sake. No, but I won't tell you my Commonwealth
what did
Bank
you-
story. But wow, what's happened?
Something's gone wrong.
It's not a mistake, it's a choice.
It's a choice.
choice.
Put it in the pocket.
No,
so did she throw water at you?
Yeah, so what happened was she was dressed as Michael and I at the end of the show. So we both wear white tuxedos. She was wearing a white tuxedo. At the beginning of Act 2, I saw her lurking in the front of the stage, and we're doing the scene. I'm doing the scene with Jage, and I'm playing Alban, and I'm watching this woman. She's standing there, but she's giving us, and I'm like looking at her going. Anyway, she goes to her seat, and at the end of the show, Michael and I are singing the big ballad at the end, and we can see her standing. We had stairs into the audience for the Cagelles. And we're singing the song, and she's walking towards us.
No.
Like this. And Michael and I are like, what is going on? And just as she got there, the curtain, but she got in and threw water over us.
Blessing you.
She threw water.
Blessing.
And I said, love, you're not supposed to be here. She threw water over the instruments.
Oh.
It went everywhere. And I mean, look at this. It was, it's such a strange thing. But we had to bow, and the audience thought she was part of the show.
Of course she did.
The security thought she was part of the
Oh
show
my God.
because they were like, why did you let that happen? Why did you let her walk out? And anyway, so she was, as they were carrying her out, she was going, God bless Australia,
Oh, right. Oh.
blessing the theatre.
Oh.
But I had a thing in my eye the next day because I don't know what was in that water, but could have been acid.
Oh.
I mean, let's be real.
But I guess the idea too, like anyone could walk down now and come onto the stage, and we
Yeah.
don't know what their mental health
No, yeah,
situation
well, that's
is,
it.
or any of those kind of things.
Well, that's right.
But we're vulnerable in that contract.
Yeah.
We are, and I don't know what her. I thought
No.
she may have had dementia. I don't know what she had, but it was really wild.
She knew to dress just like you, though.
I was going to say, what she had was a great white tuxedo.
Yeah.
And it deserved an outing.
and that gave it her entry onto the stage
Isn't that amazing?
to throw her water.
Extraordinary.
So that is a wild. That is. I mean, I've had wild things happen in cabaret. Hecklers and some
Yeah.
of the rough places I worked in the early days. When I was doing cabaret and doing drag.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, I can't remember them right now, but a lot of wild things.
But you learn to be fearless there.
Yes.
You learn to be fearless in a small audience where you can see everybody's eyes. It's so
Absolutely.
much easier to do a show to a huge bank of people where you can't see individuals.
That's right.
But 25 people in a little basement room, you're like,
Yeah.
and you
right.
learn to be fearless. You learn to be seen in all your vulnerability. You learn to fly on through the scary bits.
And your instincts. What
Yeah,
your
it's
instincts
exactly
are to
that.
do things as well.
and to pick people.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah.
Because you get a real good sense when they're that close.
Okay. A perfect world, nothing goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect world, everything's smooth. We don't live in a perfect world.
We don't.
What advice do you give to people, who have to face some of the things that you're talking about now? What's the things that you do to prepare for the thing that is unexpected? It's unexpected because you didn't expect it, so it's difficult to prepare for it. But
Well, yeah.
what are the like you talked about 20 years? You talked about 20 years of
Cabaret.
of
and improv.
cabaret
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
prepared you
Yeah.
to understand and to be part of your training to
Yeah.
interact with that kind of stuff as well.
It's exactly that. It's runs on the board. It's as many years as you
Yeah.
can tolerate in this industry in as many functions as possible. So including being
Yeah.
an usher, including doing the lights and sound.
Yep.
Understand as many of the moving parts in this industry as possible.
10,000 hours, that whole kind
Exactly that.
It's
But
also the
spread it
show
about
itself.
because it's a
Yeah.
It's also the show itself, I think, because it also how much of yourself you invest in the research, in your preparation to the work, and then when you're in the room with your director and your colleagues, and how much. I think that's kind of like a preparation in a weird way.
absolutely.
Like how much of the world that you've invested in.
how much of the world is true here.
That thing that night in cabaret, afterwards I thought, oh my God, I could have said so many things as the MC.
Yeah.
But the shock of what was going on, but the research, but I could stay in the character and I could continue after this, dreadful thing.
One piece of advice given to me was often it's about things will happen. The unexpected will always happen. It's how you deal with the unexpected and how you recover. The speed of recovery then becomes the issue as well.
Yeah.
Can you do it straight away? Can you do it later? How do you do all those kind of things?
I have to tell you too that when
Do
you
you have to
said,
tell
I have to tell
have
you,
to tell me.
Wesley. Finally, we can be honest with each other. That when you said, in a perfect world, nothing goes wrong, my body had a little reaction to that, where it was like, boring,
Oh!
boring.
And I straight away go, addicted to drama.
Yeah. You don't have to do it every night, Wesley. You don't have to live the same thing every night. So I actually love it. I love it when things go wrong. It is my favourite feeling when things go wrong. And when everybody in the team goes, shit, we are really here. We are really present. And everybody is watching and everybody's fucking fingers are whatever it is. What do you need? What do you need? Do you need this? Ready? No, you didn't need that. Great. I love it. I absolutely love it. Can I tell one final tiny
Please.
story?
If you need permission.
I do. I believe it. I believe in it. That the one night, it was the New Year's Eve in London, and we had a 3 p.m. show, and one of our cast thought we had a 7 p.m. show, and he went to sleep and he switched his phone off. Okay, so we get to the half-hour call. He is not there. And obviously, we all go through the he's dead, he's under a train. We work out that there's nobody's thrown themselves under a train. We get in contact with his wife. His wife said, I was talking to him an hour ago. He's absolutely fine. I'm sure he's just fallen asleep. Fine. And so we have this thing where we look at each other and we go, do you want to do it? We could do it. We could do it. Hang on, how do we do it? We could do it. We could do it. We could do it. All right. And we established this idea that if you're wearing the hat and carrying a script, you were playing that character. It's a very meta show, so it made sense. And I just remember I've never felt more alive. I really was like, this is wild, how extraordinary, how beautiful. And again, it was the kind of show where I could, as Cyrano, explain what was happening and go, obviously this is a pretty meta show. It's gotten even more meta. Have you noticed the hat and the script thing's wild? So they were hugely on board the story too, and then on board with us. But then we got to the final, the bit of an unraveling of Cyrano at the end, and nobody was saying the character's lines, and he was the true antagonist in that point. And I realized we hadn't gotten to the point where we'd assigned those lines up because we had to go on stage. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to say them. And I was like, oh, Cyrano is in conversation with her own tragedy here. She is actually, like, this is actually what's happening, is that she's going, couldn't I be different? And her brain patterning is going, no, you're a tragedy. You must die. And actually, like, articulating that in a closed loop I was like, oh, that's exactly what's going on here. What a revelation. That's actually what's happening.
How disappointing when the actor walks through the door.
I know, it was tiresome.
All right, we've got some time for some questions here. Virginia, was there a good ending to the breakup?
Who's asking and why?
Yeah.
Wow. I know, right?
Next question.
It was fine. It was fine.
We don't have any more questions.
Oh,
No. Oh, here we go. What about when things go wrong between collaborators? We haven't talked about the...
that's unfortunate.
So, like, someone you're working with quite intimately, it's just not working. What do you do?
I've had too many of those.
I mean,
I don't want to dredge it up.
But here's the question.
Horrible.
When it's not working, do you go, I'm going to just go through it and get through it? Or do you say, oh, that's not going to work, we have to walk away?
I think it depends what point in the process you're at. I
Yeah.
think, especially as a playwright, and I had to learn this coming from an actor to a creative. When you're an actor, you sort of take everybody's notes and you go, I'll do it, I can do it, absolutely. And you're the hierarchy and I'm just a cog in the thing. But when you're a creator, you have to go, okay, no, this is my clear vision and I'm going to stand by this, I'm going to listen and I'm going to adjust, but I understand the vision.
Yeah.
And then in that point, in that position, the collaborators that you work with are everything. As an actor, I can push through, oh, we don't really like each other, but we're still doing the love scene and it's fine. It's fine. It's not very convincing, but it's close enough. Or it looks fine from the outside. But from a creative position, your whole life is, the joy of the experience and the efficacy of the experience is dependent on who you collaborate with. So make sure that you make those right. Make those decisions.
Invest in it early. Yeah.
Well, it's
on,
taken
and
me
if
a
they're
long
wrong,
time to learn it, and now because I've had a couple of really bad experiences, and one wasn't that long ago, and I was in a situation where I really didn't know what to do, and it just got worse with every day, and I was ringing friends in Sydney, directors, for help because I thought I was going mad.
Yeah.
And I had to make a couple of tough calls because I have that mentality. The show goes on.
Yeah.
And I have a responsibility to the advertising and all the people who've made the costume and the set and everything else. And but as I've gotten older, I'm more when I'm in a room, I'm watching absolutely every part of what's going on. So I don't know if that's called sort of having the director's sort of idea or
absolutely.
Just a more acute observation.
Yeah.
But someone had to step in and was given the option of going home or the piece being shortened or holding the book because it was a really bad the situation was beyond horrendous. And I'm like, the person that made the suggestions, I said, but I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't go home. I never go home. But I don't know what else, what else do we do? So in the end, it was the book. And I hated the book because I had to wear my glasses. I couldn't see a thing. And anyway, it turned out we did a week of performances and then COVID shut that state down. But now what I do, and ever since then, I have long conversations with directors.
Yes.
I ask lots of questions. I want to know what the process is. I know it's a strange thing because you cannot really know until you're in the room.
It's true.
And I also had misconceptions about I thought I got on like a house on fire with this particular person, and literally the first day of rehearsal, for the month, they were different. I didn't know who this person was, and we had a massive, and unfortunately I had to pull this part of myself out that I don't like to bring out, but I had to do it because I was at war with this person. So.
Yes. Well, self-preservation is an important instinct, I think, in that as well. Have any mistakes happened in the writing process that have changed the script for the better? Or half the stuff you talked about.
Yeah, totally. They're all mistakes. They're all honestly, any idea is sort of like that's stupid. Wait a minute. Like that's
I
how they
will
all
often
come.
say that it's not my job to have the best idea, it's my job to recognise the best idea.
Good, that's nice.
So a good idea comes out of an accident.
Yeah.
Suddenly someone who's mopping the floor does something, I go, we'll take that, and
Exactly
we'll take this,
that.
and
Exactly
things like
that.
that. What about you, Paul? Anything that's mistakes that have happened, but they've actually improved the writing or affected the writing?
I think lots of things. I can't think of anything specific, but I know definitely. More so maybe in cabaret.
Yes.
When you have like a loose kind of script or idea, and then something will happen on the night, and then it grows.
You're collaborating with the audience and
Collaborating with the audience.
Absolutely are. And
Oh,
any good
absolutely.
live theatre, you should always still be collaborating with the audience.
Absolutely.
Especially with things like a comedy too. You're listening. This is more and more I get like when people pretend like an audience isn't there, especially when you're in a comedy. I'm like, they're still laughing. You're in a conversation with the audience. You have to let them finish their thought, and then you can pick it up and go on.
Yes.
It's such a delicate piece of timing.
The image I have is often the shiny ball.
Yeah.
That's polished, which is there to be observed and looked at, versus the soccer ball that's been kicked around forever and ever and ever. That the soccer ball is the one you're kicking back and forward.
That one.
Whereas the silver ball is just something that sits there
Yeah,
as an object to watch.
Breaks your toe if you try and play with it. No.
Indeed.
No.
What
I
advice?
think what you were saying before, something
go
you
for
brought
it.
up about different generation.
Yes.
Like with a lot of these questions,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
these ideas of how does a person of now, the generation of young people who are coming up, and how they work, and and how they see the making of the work,
Yeah.
which is very different.
Yeah,
now.
and the relationships and the look. I'm learning so much working with people in their early 20s at a university who just will not accept certain things, talk about certain things, and are actually creating change, which
Yeah.
is so brilliant to watch
Yeah.
and to learn from.
Yeah,
What advice do you have for when the thing goes wrong and it completely crushes your confidence as an artist? And actually, one of my questions here that I never got to ask is about the spiral that it can create, either perhaps in front of an audience or
Yeah.
somewhere else. There's a psychological spiral, which you talked about a little bit there, Paul, too, about the war with this person.
Well, that one was really difficult for me. After I got through it, I went through a really long period, and also it coincided with COVID, so the whole thing was kind of. So it just took me a long time to be able to. I just really thought I don't know if I want to keep doing this if this is what's going to happen.
Oh, Jesus.
Because that's the sort of thing you can't. It's hard to predict, and you're in a situation. You're also holding a lot of pressure because it was a one-person show. And it was, my understandings of what this was supposed to be was that it was a play, but it ended up being me reciting a book. So it wasn't really what I set out to do in the first place. But there's trauma. But the thing is, I always say this, you have to keep going and you have to work through it. You have to process it, whatever it is.
Yes. Either with the person or by yourself, perhaps, too. You have to process it so it doesn't scar you.
That's right.
I keep coming back to your example earlier, Paul, about you don't want to have a permanent injury because of these situations, be it a physical injury or a psychological injury.
Some people don't survive them. They leave the industry.
Yes.
Now, ironically, this person, who I won't mention, this particular director, after that, I met a couple of performers who'd worked with him, and they said to me, one of them said he never performed again.
Oh God.
After working with that person,
That's awful.
because he was crying the whole time. So yeah,
That's so wrong.
But I say don't give up ever.
Yeah.
It's preparation, it's learning, it's part of what is a potential in our industry. Is these people are in our industry?
Yes.
You know, and I mean, you know, and all. Well, there's so many different dynamics, isn't there, with performers and how you work with your colleagues.
And fear manifests in so many different ways. You know, the person who wants to control through fear, people who are prepared to be open through and understand and embrace the fear.
It can happen with choreographers, musical directors. I've had all of that with issues with musical directors. And
I've got 28 seconds.
I know. I wanted to say, when it completely crushes your offer, I just want you to know that I have had more rejections and more failures than you could ever hold in your head. I have had so many no's. I have had so many things go wrong where you're like, this will be impossible. It only looks like a linear trajectory from the outside. You are always failing and things are breaking and that's part of it. And it's so valuable. Don't be afraid of it. It's just a huge part of it that nobody talks about.
That's
Excellent.
right.
We have the eternal final second. If you can
And
please join
it's
me in thanking Virginia Gay and Paul Kapsis. A wonderful story, if you like, about the resilience of what we do and lots of lessons. Please give love to each other.
Yes.
If anything, we need more love in these moments.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Huge thank you to Wesley Enoch, everybody!